It's Wednesday, the 16th of August, 2023. It makes it exactly 7 days before the historic harmonized elections in Zimbabwe. Welcome to Gambakwe Media. Today, I have a short presentation that I have dubbed Advocate Nelson Chamisa's campaign trail, the road to victory. This is an important topic as we nudge towards the historic harmonized elections. There is no doubt that the country is at the cusp of a huge change, on the brink of a historic change to a new great Zimbabwe. But let me give you a brief history of where we are coming from, a brief background. As at the end of July 2023, more than 100 political rallies of the CCC had either been banned or disrupted or interrupted by the police or by ZANU-PF activists with impunity. Meanwhile, ZANU-PF has had its rallies uninterrupted. Advocate Nelson Chamisa, however, has not been deterred by all this. In fact, or however, he has mounted a very energetic and powerful campaign trail. We have seen Advocate Nelson Chamisa travel the length and the breadth of the country, going into all the areas such as we saw him in Bikita, we have seen him in Bulilima, in Dulibadzimu, we have seen him go to Binga, we have seen him go to Lupane, we have seen him in Chiredzi, we have seen him in Mashingo, and many other places. But what is striking about all his political rallies is the electric environment. And we have also seen the bumper crowds which he has lured to these political rallies. It is common knowledge that ZANU-PF is in the habit of busing people to its political rallies. And we have seen countless hordes and hordes of Zupco buses that have been used to transport people to these star rallies for ZANU-PF. However, for the CCC, some of these rallies have been impromptu rallies. They have been rallies organized at the last minute because the police have refused them to stage a rally here or there. But what is striking about those rallies is that people have come there with their energy, with their joy, using their own resources. This, however, is to show you where the voting tide is, that people are tired. People are basically fatigued by ZANU-PF's rule. People do not want ZANU-PF anymore. Those who go to ZANU-PF rallies, you can see the mood as they sit down. There is no happiness there. All they come for are the little pieces of chicken in that they are promised, and those t-shirts. But it is important to note that many people now see through ZANU-PF's strategy, and there is no doubt that ZANU-PF is going for a huge thrashing, so to speak. The recent political rallies by the CCC are a sign of where the voting tide is going. If we look at the Chiredzi rally, if we look at what happened in Mashingo, where the police once again had to come in and disrupt that political rally, you can see the kind of bumper crowds. You can see the kind of electric environment. You can gauge the mood, that the mood is that of change, and that we are geared for a new great Zimbabwe. And Advocate Nelson Chamisa should be commended for having mounted such a campaign trail, gauging by the campaign trail that has so far been mounted by the CCC, by Advocate Nelson Chamisa. There is no doubt that it certifies, it gives credence to the very surveys that we have seen from Afrobarometer, from the Brent Institute, from the Elite Africa Research, all who have pointed out to a landslide victory by Advocate Nelson Chamisa. His major message on the campaign trail has been to say, what do we do with the economy? Because the economy is the current elephant in the room. Advocate Nelson Chamisa has dealt with that issue on how they are going to revitalize industry, how they are going to plug all the loopholes in which our resources are finding their way outside the country, the illicit trade, the illicit exportation of our resources, gold, diamond. That money, if those gaps are closed, the advocate has said that is money that we can use to develop our country. He has spoken about the creation of jobs, public works, how they are going to bring all the young people down to work. He has spoken about rejuvenating and revitalizing the education system. He has spoken about how he is going to revitalize the healthcare system, because a healthy nation means a very productive nation. And he has got his eyes on the ball. He has spoken to gender issues that really affect our country. He has spoken to the issue of the infrastructure, on how he will revamp the infrastructure from this infrastructure which the A.N. Smith regime has built. Because do not be fooled. What ZANU-PF is saying, infrastructure development, is basically rehabilitation of already existing infrastructure. There is nothing new they are doing. If you go to good economies, to good to countries that are a real construction site, go to South Africa, you will see what it means when they say new roads are being constructed, new railway lines are being constructed, new infrastructure is being constructed. In Zimbabwe, there is nothing except the repairing and rehabilitation of old, very old infrastructure. There is no expansion right there. But Advocate Nelson Chamisa has delivered the message of how he is going to deal with that. Not only that, Advocate Nelson Chamisa has also delivered a message on what he will do with governance. Zimbabwe lacks confidence in the governance system that we have. We have governors who have a sense of entitlement. They do not realize that they are servants, not the kings. They do not realize that when they are put in those positions, what they have to do is to work for the Zimbabweans, not the other way around. They have taken a stance of being the lords over their subjects. Advocate Nelson Chamisa's message has been to say, we will change the governance culture in Zimbabwe, in which we will have a servant leadership, in which we will have a servant presidency. And that is what the people of Zimbabwe need to hear right now. And he has spoken to to what he will do with the politics in Zimbabwe, that the rule of law will be respected, that the pieces of legislation, toxic pieces of legislation that we have recently seen being promulgated will be annulled. And that's what the Zimbabwean today, the Zimbabwean voter wants to hear. That is actually what he is expecting, what she is expecting. And Advocate Nelson Chamisa has spoken to all of that. So this indeed has been an energetic campaign trail, with the right message, hitting at the right, on the right vein where the Zimbabweans want to hear. On the other hand, the ZANU-PF campaign trail has been quite weak, has been uninspiring and boring, and honestly, it has been difficult to follow the message of President Mnangagwa. When he comes to those political rallies, I think his advisors are failing him, or people who are supposed to write his speeches are failing him, because all we have had are such boring statements, are such boring repetitions of his not so funny way of delivering speeches. So it is kudos to Advocate Nelson Chamisa. His campaign trail, despite the obstacles, despite what has been thrown into the way, despite the banning, despite the interruptions, despite even the killing of Tinashe Chitsunge, it has not deterred the champion-in-chief Advocate Nelson Chamisa from mounting what has become a historic campaign trail, which will only lead him to the State House. And indeed, this has been a road to victory.